I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into a powerful book. It's called Utopian Race, New Edition. It's written by a wonderful author by the name of Frank Karan. This second collection of poetry showcases his unique voice and profound reflections on society, humanity, and the pursuit of utopia. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this amazing book. The links are below this interview. Frank, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
I'm great to be here. Thank you very much for having me, Logan.
I'm
Did you
happy to
know in
have you on the
Australia,
show, my friend.
there was a guy who used to do acting for called Crawford, Hector Crawford. He had the biggest running series of all time on Australian television besides Neighbours. It went for 13 years. He passed
Wow.
away and he had all the great TV shows, and his name was Hector Crawford. So maybe there's a correlation there.
Maybe it's a long lost relative, but I know I need a long running hit like that. That'd be terrific. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about this collection of poetry, some of the themes that people will find in it.
Well, Utopian Race is a book that I wanted to put together because I wanted to show that, like, as a whole, as a society, as a planet, we can bond together. Instead of fighting each other and killing each other, we should just bond together, clean up our planet because we only have one planet. We need to care for, we need to love it, we need to nurture it. So, what I'm saying is that if we bonded together, work together, we can make this world a better place and we can live like in harmony and peace and is share the benefits of the world because we can learn so many things, not only from ourselves, but the animal friends, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom. And if you look at it, so many species have become extinct and will become extinct if we don't nurture our planet. So that's the basic goal of what I wanted to do. Like President Kennedy always used to say, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I say, let's take it a step further. Don't ask what our planet can do for us. Ask what we can do for our planet. And
Absolutely, that
incidentally,
is
in World
great
War II,
advice.
yeah. In World War II, President Kennedy was stranded in the Pacific and he was actually rescued by Australian servicemen. So if it wasn't for the Australian people, there'd be no President Kennedy. But like I said, what President Kennedy said, I think was ultimate. He summed it up in one line.
Wonderful. In your book,
Yeah.
of course, you talk about utopia. How do you define utopia? What's your
Well, the
concept of utopia?
ancient Greeks said we can live in splendid harmony. The Italians said they modeled their Renaissance on what the ancient Greeks had, their culture, their love for wisdom, the way they can build society and have democracy and everyone have a right to say. Because the ancient Greeks, what they did, like they got everyone together and they said, you put the stones in this vase and you put the stones in that vase. That was a plus, that was a no. If more people put more stones in one vase, it showed there was on a democratic principle. That's what everyone would vote for. So I'm saying the idea of having a democracy and everyone having a say and everyone living together in peace and harmony and sharing the world and nurturing it, we can live like gods here on this planet.
Exactly. Yeah. We live in the land of milk and honey. We could be rejoicing in it. We could get rid of a lot of the conflict in this world. We have
Exactly.
to stop hating each other. We have to stop killing each other. So I think it's all noble goals for sure. Do you have a favorite poem in this collection?
Well, I don't have a favorite poem. It's like, do you have a favorite actor? They're all good in their own right. I mean, when I did acting, one of my teachers was from New York, and she always used to say to me, Frank, it goes, if you're going to do acting, you need a plethora of words because when you're up there, you're improvising. And if you drop a line or someone drops a word or that, you're going to look too stale on stage. So
Hmm.
you need to have a plethora of words that's going to fit that situation. And it's like actors. When you see Marlon Brando, when he did Streetcar Named Desire, he was brilliant. When you saw Pacino in some of the films he did, it was brilliant. Gable was brilliant in Gone with the Wind. Humphrey Bogart was excellent when he did Casablanca.
Hmm.
And initially, Ronald Reagan was going to get that role, but he dropped out of it. But yeah, how can I say? We should attain for excellence. If we're not striving to be our best, then we're just short-circuiting ourselves. We're not doing justice to ourselves or our creativity or whatever it is we want to reach in business or in law or in fashion or whatever. That's why I admire a lot of fashion designers like Valentino. He'd always not cut corners. He'd say, I want this. That's the way it's got to be. I don't settle for this. When you look at Michelangelo, I read that he was working on some marble statue for years and years and years. And towards the end of it, he said, no, it's not really what I want. So just threw it away, got another piece and says, I'll start again. So he was genuine in his belief for attaining that excellence. And my daddy always used to say to me, Frank, if you're good at something, okay, no one can take that away from you. Regardless if you want to be a sportsman or a businessman or an artist or whatever.
Absolutely. What are some of the themes that you explore in this book?
Well, in a nutshell, what I'm exploring is, okay, we're all faced with peace, we're faced with love in this world. We have contradictions, we have limitations, we have to realize the limitations. Okay, and say, right, these are the things that we're not good at. We should improve on this. These are the things that we're that good at. Well, maybe we don't need to spend that much time on it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, to the world leaders, all right, why spend all these hundreds of billions of dollars manufacturing methods of war and killing ourselves when we have one planet? Time is running out, whether you like it or not. They're going to all these meetings setting agendas saying, oh, 2050, we're going to cut emissions. Man, if you look at it, our planet may be inhospitable by 2050. There's no point, setting targets 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the track, which in that time, this planet, we might not even have a planet. We need to act right now. So I'm saying, instead of spending all this money on things we don't need or space exploration, okay, people want to know what's 50 billion light years away. All right, you and me are not going to travel 50 billion light years away to see what's out there, right? So I'm saying, instead of wasting all these hundreds of billions of dollars each year on things that we don't need, let's redirect some of that funding on the things that we need, like saving the planet, getting plastic out of the water. Fish are going to be in plastic. We're going to be eating the fish. What are we going to look like in 20 years' time? We're not going to be healthy, are we? If you look at sperm count on males in the past 100 years, it's fallen dramatically. Why? We're eating junk food. We should not waste our time eating so much junk food. I know we live in a fast-paced world, but all I'm saying is, why are we spending money in manufacturing all these things that are harming us instead of manufacturing things that are going to assist us and made more comfortably? Like back in Greece, right? Everyone was making tobacco, selling tobacco. No one used to get cancer because it was raw tobacco. These days, the cigarette companies are putting so many toxins, so many additives in them that real tobacco is not real tobacco anymore. So everyone's getting cancer. Everyone's having a sore throat. Back in my dad's village, when everyone smoked tobacco, no one had cancer. No one had sore throats because it was raw. It was pure. It wasn't mixed with anything else. Yes.
Exactly.
Next question.
Let me ask you how you hope your readers will connect with your poetry. What you hope they take from it, what you hope they learn from it, what they hope they learn about the world and themselves.
Okay. Well, basically, I don't set myself out to say, I'm a dictator, right? This is what you got to do. I'm saying, here's an option. You like it or you don't like it. If you can adhere to it, if you can use it, okay. It's for your benefit. Simple as that.
Right. And you put the work out there, they can heed your advice, they can learn from it.
Yeah. Right. And another thing too, a lot of people used to go to writers' workshops or poetry workshops because the scene here was insane. Like, there was bands playing it everywhere. I used to watch bands 3-4 nights a week. We used to go and watch AC/DC in the local pub for $2. You're not going to see them now for $2, are you? We wanted to get them for our high school social, right? Because Bon Scott used to come into the pizzeria where I used to work at. And we said to him, look, do you want to play at our high school social? He goes, yeah, I'd love to, Frank. But he goes, we're getting ready to go to England now. We're going to be supporting the Rolling Stones. So we got a couple of other bands to play. But the thing is, how can I say, yeah, it's hard. You can't please everyone. Like, when I used to go to workshops, some people, you had like your uni dropouts and they were anti-establishment. They were against Vietnam. And now teacher at school always used to play Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez in his car. He always used to talk about Ginsberg and the Chicago Five. And we touched on that type of stuff. And A lot of people were radical. Some people were like conservative and didn't care about politics. They were just like, oh, we want to adhere to Shakespeare and Chaucer, the metaphysical and the poets and the Elizabethan poets. Some people, like I met those when I was in a theater company, I was working with a Spanish professor, and he was always talking to me about Lorca and Neruda, all the Spanish ones. And I was doing scouts. We had a guy from Russia, and he was always talking to me about Pushkin. I went to study in Greece for a few weeks, and everyone there knew about American poets, Spanish poets, Russian poets, English poets. They didn't know anything about Australian poets. But over here in Australia, all you get taught is English poetry and literature and Australian literature. They're very limited. They don't talk about American. They don't really talk about European or nothing else. I don't know what it was. When I was going to workshops, some people said to me, I like long poems, write a long poem. Other people said, no, we don't have time. We can't be bothered to read long 2, 3, 4-page poems. We want to read short poems, like 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 lines. I said, all right. So I'll write some long ones. And then Utopian Race, there's a few poems that I had to really condense. I had to bring them down because a lot of people said to me, I can't read this, Frank. It's too long. I'm not going to quibble about that. So, you got to cater for everyone. I made some long, I made some short. And once, I'll tell you, we had an American teacher who was teaching us about the American Civil War back in high school, right? Mr. Giles from New Jersey. And we were doing essays and all this. We did about the American Revolution and that. I handed in an essay one day. He left school. We had an English guy that was actually in the army. He was an English teacher and a history teacher. And I handed him an essay, a 1,000-word essay about the American Civil War. He said to me, Frank, he goes, your research is good, your statistics is good, but I'm only giving you a C. I said, sir, it's a 1,000-word essay. I mean, a 14-year-old kid writing about the American Civil War. And he goes to me, everything was good except your wording. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you use the same words in this paragraph to describe what happened to Ulysses Grant. He used the same words to describe what happened to the 600,000 soldiers that got killed. And he said to me, he goes, I gave you a C instead of your usual A or B. And I thought to myself, it clicked to me. It was a kick in the guts, but I said, I got to learn new words. So every day after school, I'd stop into the bookshop. I'd read anything, Sports Illustrated, history books, space books, I wanted to get an idea of more words and more subjects. That's why I started to subscribe to Reader's Digest, Time Life books. I bought a thesaurus. I bought the Reader's Digest word finder because I wanted to learn more words. And when we were doing a subject called Development English, it was a subject that was like, Monday morning you have 2 hours of English, then you have your maths. Afternoon you have another 2 hours, right? That was optional. That went for a whole semester, 4 months, right? And the teacher said, I want everyone to learn 20 words every week, write them down into sentences that are applicable. I said, why do we got to learn 20 words a week? Why don't we learn 20 a day? I said to her. And she said to me, Frank, are you up to it? I go, I'm certainly not down to it. So what I did, they give us 20 sentences. And the teacher will say, the boy ran up the hill. What's a word that's going to join that? Boy ran up the hill. I said, the boy ran frantically up the hill. All right, okay. That was an example. We had to do 20 sentences every week that fit that particular, how can I say, scenario. It had to match. You know what I mean? The boy was drowning. Why was he
awesome.
drowning?
That was great exercise. I think it's like lifting mental weights when you use your brain like that. Frank, we're out of time, unfortunately, but let me tell the folks at home about your book. It's Utopian Race, new edition by Frank Karan. It is the second collection of poetry that showcases this author's and this poet's unique voice and profound reflections on society, humanity, and the pursuit of utopia. It's a wonderful book. It'll change your perspective. It could change your life. It might just change the planet, which would be great indeed. Frank, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me. God bless. All the best. All the best.
God bless. Thanks so much for joining me. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.
Thank you. God bless. Thanks for having me. Thank you.